The New England Patriots were able to respond to the bad loss last week in which they gave up five straight touchdowns to the Buffalo Bills. They go into Baltimore. It's Sunday Night Football. Bakemas is still going on. Bakemas had a road game. They did it in the hotel that day. But it was Victory Monday for the New England Patriots. They're able to respond in the second half. Lamar Jackson is hurt early in the second quarter, or late in the second quarter, I should say. And Tyler Huntley, Snoop Huntley, has to come in. There's a ton of questions on the Baltimore side, but I want to lead with the winners, and that's the New England Patriots. Did you get to watch this game? Just
Yep.
yes or no? Well, I advise you to just go back and watch highlights of this game because I really think this was, because it was on national television, the coming out party for Drake May. If people didn't give up on this game, because early in the game, their first drive for New England, they get down the field and Drake May throws a pick at the 2 yard line. And then another drive, two drives later, if I'm not mistaken, he fumbles it from a strip sack. From that point on, and really in every other play in the game, he was terrific. He was 31 for 44 for 380 for two touchdowns. He was great on the ground as well, 10 for 25. They had no running game. Ramondre Stevenson goes 8 carries for 51 yards. Travion Henderson is knocked out early in the game with a concussion. 5 carries for 3 yards. He ends up getting tackled and falls right on the back of his head and gets knocked out of the game. The New England receivers, what a showing from Stephon Diggs. 9 catches, 138 yards. And I want this to be noted because they are historic, what Stephon Diggs and Drake May are doing. It is the second highest completion percentage between a duo this century with a minimum of 90 targets in a season to only one combo, and it's the GOATs, Michael Thomas and Drew Brees.
It's not where I thought you were going with that.
Saints, the two GOATs, Michael Thomas and Drew Brees, were 85.6% together. Stephon Diggs and Drake May are 81.7%. The next closest is Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff last year at 81.7%. They're completing 81.7%. Drake May and Stephon Diggs completion percentage, just
So,
targets
are they
like that.
tied with Goff and Amon-Ra? Is that what you said?
They're what? Sorry, 81.6 for Jared Goff and
Okay.
Amon-Ra, 81.7 for Drake May and Stephon Diggs. They were 9 for 10 on their completions, and their completions go for 138 yards and a lot of critical ones. There was no pass rush from Baltimore in this game, and so Drake May, to his credit, was able to just dice this Baltimore defense. They had crossing routes over the field, deep developing routes, deep over routes, deep shots down the field. I mean, the touchdown pass to Kyle Williams was unbelievable. I would just go turn on a 5-minute highlight because it may change the way you think about Drake May. I know it would change the way people in the league thought about Drake May. Like, I know a ton of people have felt because they haven't watched all of the Patriots games. Well, is Drake May really in the MVP conversation? Yeah, with the way he played on Sunday Night Football, fully so. Now, I will say, New England was handed a gift in this game, and Baltimore was terrible. But when you're given a gift in the spirit of the holiday season, take the gift, open the gift, and celebrate the gift. Because Lamar Jackson getting hurt helps the Patriots in this game. But Baltimore was terrible in key moments. It doesn't feel like you saw this play, but there's a critical play at the end of the first half. It's 10-10. There's 14 seconds left. Baltimore has the ball on their own 20-yard line, give or take. Snoop Huntley completes a pass to Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews, while being tackled, tries to do a Travis Kelce and throws the ball, trying to backward lateral it to Zay Flowers, and it's immediately picked off by a Patriot defender. And if not for a terrible roughing the passer call on New England as Snoop Huntley threw the football, New England would have had the ball with 7 seconds left, able to kick a field goal right before the half. It's tremendous undiscipline. What are we thinking? I go look it up right now. You need to just go see it because it's unbelievably stupid what Mark Andrews did in this game. The other things that have cost him, um, Derrick Henry scores a touchdown in this game with with 12 minutes and 50 seconds left. 12 minutes 50 seconds. Derrick Henry scores a touchdown. At that point, Derrick Henry has 18 carries for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is averaging 7 yards per carry. He's got 2 touchdowns on the ground. He is dominating the New England Patriots. His last touch in the game is with 12 minutes and 50 seconds left on that touchdown run. Derrick Henry does not touch the ball the rest of the game. It gets worse. He's not on the field the rest of the game. In a game where Lamar Jackson gets hurt early in the second quarter, Derrick Henry is not on the field for the last 12 minutes and 50 seconds, in which Baltimore had 3 drives with the football. What are we doing? That's coaching. That's discipline. What in the world is happening here? That can't happen. And so, to cap it all off, New England is able to score 2 touchdowns. They're able to take a 28-24 lead. And then Baltimore completes a pass to Zay Flowers over the middle with roughly a minute 58 left. Zay tries to make one guy miss, and Chason of the New England Patriots comes up from behind and punches it out, and we have another Zay Flowers fumble in a critical moment. And the Baltimore Ravens lose. Their season is over as far as I'm concerned. In fact, the Pittsburgh Steelers could rest the final 2 weeks of the season because Baltimore goes to Lambeau on Saturday night. And so if Baltimore loses to Green Bay, the Steelers have won the division, and they don't even have to play their starters in Week 17, which is insane. If Baltimore is able to win that game, Steelers just have to beat the Browns to win the division. It's a failure of a season, a complete failure. I understand the Lamar Jackson injury has hindered them a ton this season, but it's not the first season he's done this. He's had multiple years where he's had injuries, and he's becoming kind of an injury-prone quarterback. In fact, even over the last 7 weeks that he's played, he hasn't had a single week where he hasn't missed a practice, at least once during the week. He's just, it may just, and it's with 4 or 5 different injuries. It may just be that he's injury prone. This is not the first time. We're also talking about Derrick Henry and his usage as well. I think we're looking straight in the eyes of a John Harbaugh firing and a new regime starting in Baltimore. He's coached there for 18 years. It's so many. This team coming into the year was the Super Bowl favorite. And they're going to miss the postseason and not win the division. It cannot happen. And so I think wholesale changes are going to occur. It seems like if Lamar isn't going to get back to full health and he's going to continue to have injuries, that he's just going to become a pocket passer. Like, I don't think they can use him as much in terms of using his legs. I don't know if you're going to get Derrick Henry performance next year when he's 32 or 33. You're going to more than likely fire the head coach. They don't have the receivers that they need there, especially if Lamar's going to become a pocket passer. Your defense can't have, 5 weeks where it is literally costing you games like it did at the beginning of this season, at the beginning of last season, and then all of a sudden turn it around. It's just, there's always something with this team. It is not like the Buffalo Bills. It's now going to frustrate me that people will compare Buffalo and Baltimore, because Buffalo's problem has been they've played the Chiefs pretty much every damn time they've got to the postseason. They've lost 5 times to the Chiefs in the postseason. That is not Baltimore's problem. They are missing the postseason. Lamar's not healthy. They're losing to Buffalo in the postseason. They're losing to Cincinnati in the postseason. And then their one opportunity, AFC Championship, at home, they best offense in the league against Kansas City, they scored 10 points. So it's just, for a franchise that is thought of so highly, it is all doom and gloom at Baltimore. that division is not good enough, especially this year, to not win it, even with all the concerns that they had. And that's what we're looking at. So it's shocking. I mean, they were all of us thought it was going to be an amazing year for them, and it is straight down the crapshoot.
Yeah, sorry if I've been a little distracted. I was trying to find something super, super important, and by that I mean going back for the receipts of when I wanted to talk about that Stephon Diggs signing as a big deal, and you
Mm.
and Jack dogged on it and were like, "That's ridiculous. This doesn't matter." And now here we are. What is this? 8 months later, talking about how big it is and how great it is for him and him and Drake May are cooking. I can't find the receipts, but basically, I run all of our socials. For those of y'all that don't know, maybe I shouldn't have doxed myself. I don't know. I try to keep my personal opinions off of the technical foul stuff, but I tweeted something. I should have just gone and found the tweet. I tweeted like huge. They broke the news, and then I quote tweeted it from the technical foul account. It was like huge signing for New England, and Jack and JP were like, "Why are we saying this is a huge signing? Like it's not." And then they made fun of me. I found like y'all sent like 8 tweets for like backup offensive guards that had signed. We're like, we doing an emergency pod for this stuff like that. So I was just 8 months early, but I was right. 8 months ahead of my time, saying how big Stephon Diggs was gonna be for Drake May. And once again, it's one of those things where I was right, fortunately, but the wrong process, right outcome, right? Like the reality is Stephon Diggs is a 30-something-year-old guy coming off an ACL tear. Like I got there, but I probably shouldn't have had that prediction. I just somehow stumbled upon the correct prediction, kind of like me with my Panthers prediction or the Broncos. I had Bo Nix taking a step forward in year 2. He has not necessarily done that. Instead, it's just been wild games, kind of like Kansas City Chiefs kind of luck, and great defensive play. So got there. I just wrong process. Um,
Yeah, you also called for an emergency pod for the Geno Smith signing with the Las Vegas Raiders.
I still
So
stand by that one. I had great reasoning. I said that it didn't make. I actually was right about that. I said it did not make sense for the Raiders to sign Geno Smith. They were not a good enough team to bring in a veteran quarterback to try and win. And I've been proven to be correct. I said that I was like, I want to talk about this because it's perfect for the Seahawks. I think it made a lot of sense, and it made no sense for the Raiders. So I was right about that too. And
Raiders
now,
are Raiders are picking up a win this week or next week, and they'll avoid the 2-win season. They play the Giants, the Chiefs in their final 2 weeks, both at home.
I think what it
I want to
is
address the chat. Crum,
yeah, we can adjust in a
go
sec.
ahead.
I think what it is I feel like because I predicted the Raiders to go 2-15 in our preseason show. I think what it is I am like the guy who's like, oh, I've got a couple bucks. I'm gonna put together a parlay, 18 legs, and then it hits, and I just like feel like that's what I feel like. I feel like I was just kind of like I feel like the Raiders are gonna go 2-15. I feel like I put together a 15 leg parlay on vibes, and it's gonna hit. That's how I feel with the Raiders and the Broncos and Geno Smith and Stephon Diggs. Like these are all things that I just like. I just have a great vibes when it comes to NFL predictions and discussions. I did predict the Colts to go 8-9 or 9-8, so maybe that's where the buck stops. But in the chat, the puts, also known as Chromie, said 9 is basically Lamar. So he does have that going for him. Injury prone. That's kind of all that's holding him back, it seems. And then he also said the Patriots are crazy overrated, which I don't really know. I would have to, pull the Josh Payton and ask, what are they rated? Chromie, what would you rate them? That's always my go-to. And then
Good question.
them and the Giants have the same amount of wins against teams over 500. Fair, fair. But I do think you watch the Patriots, and they're a really good football team. I think we talked about that coming out of the Bills show is not really expecting them to struggle, kind of rebounding and recovering from that devastating loss because they are just a really, really good football team.
I think there's two parts to it. One, they're a really good football team. There's no other way to put that. Like they've played a weak schedule, but they haven't played the Texas A&M Aggies schedule. Like NFL teams, I think are still more competitive than the bottom feeder teams in the SEC would be with a top tier team as well. I they I they responded really well. And I think that is a huge step in the right direction because that was Drake May's first game-winning drive and fourth quarter comeback. And so he has never been in that scenario until last week with the season on the line and stuff mattering until last week against Buffalo and they failed. Well, this week they were in that same spot down 10 in the fourth quarter and they responded. And so that's going to help them going forward is having that kind of moment. And so hopefully, maybe the New York Jets or the Dolphins test you a little bit the final 2 weeks and you can have another one of those moments. On the other hand, what is being lost is Mike Vrabel, as great as he is, and as great as a coach as he is, and as great as he is at making a team that better than the sum of its parts and leading them on great winning seasons. He's won playoff games, but he's also had really bad defeats in playoff games. He has been the number one overall seed and lost in his first game, and that is completely on paper a possibility for New England if they are the one seed. They'll lose that first game. He has lost critical games. He lost to Baltimore at home in a divisional round game as well. So while he's won the big games, which I think may help them, I maybe not being the number one overall seed could help them in that he has two really, really good wins on his playoff resume. One of them being winning at Baltimore when they were the number one overall seed and going to the AFC Championship, and the other one being ending Tom Brady's career in New England and winning that game in New England. Those are two really big wins and really big playoff wins. So it'll be, I think there's some Jekyll and Hyde, some cat and mouse to both of those, and we'll see what we get. I know I've been saying for a month and a half that it feels like it would be more advantageous for New England to be the number one overall seed, but maybe it will be more advantageous for them to be the hunters than the hunted.
Yeah.
That very well could be the case.
Yeah.
For those that are unimpressed, though, they have just go watch Drake May play in that game. Outside of the interception and the fumble, he was terrific. Their pass protection was terrific. They lost their best weapon at running back and Travion Henderson very early in the game, and it did not matter. Stephon Diggs was incredible. Their defense made critical plays, including the fumble to seal the game. So this is a really good team, and I understand they haven't played anyone, but this is a really good team that has proven a lot out on the field.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna be too upset at the Patriots for their schedule because I love how the NFL schedule works about how you play teams that like it's just the schedule is balanced really really well in my opinion, and I mean yeah I'm sorry I'm actually gonna pull it up as I talk, but it just the way it works about how you play teams that finished in your position in the divisions, it just makes so much sense. And yeah, it's not the same thing as A&M's schedule. I mean, A&M was, I believe, 17-point favorites against us. I doubt that New England has played a game with a spread larger than 7, maybe like 10, right? I mean, you just look at NFL spreads in general, and the majority of them are going to be like 2.5, 3.5, 1.5, 5.5. Like they're gonna live in that 1 to 7 range. It's really, really rare that you see those outlier spreads like we saw, I believe, against with the Dolphins and the Dolphins and the Bills earlier this year, where it was like 12 or 13. Those kind of they just don't really exist because in the NFL everything is so much tighter talent wise and team wise. I do say that, and now I'm looking at the spreads. We've got 7, 7.5, 13.5. But then we get to Sunday and Saturday. You got 2.5, 2.5, 3, 2.5, 5.5. The Patriots are 13.5 points favorites against the Jets, so maybe I am very, very wrong. But my point still stands that I do think that the majority of the games they're playing are much against teams that are much more comparable than A&M might have seen in their time in their schedule. And I mean, that's just the nature of NFL versus college.